When left to my own devices, there's nothing I can't handle. There's nothing I can't handle.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into.
What's going on, everybody? Sloth here. Hope you're having an awesome day, and welcome to my guide of the woman with the high IQ, but also the look of a demon child. We're going to start off by taking a look at IQ's optimum loadout, followed by how to use her gadget effectively, and then finally how to play IQ in a typical round. First things first, IQ is a 1 armor, 3 speed attacking operator hailing from the German Special Forces, the GSG-9. When the game first came out, IQ was often overlooked because their gadget was basically considered, well, useless compared to some of the other operators. But since the game of Siege has evolved and people have realised how powerful 3-speed operators are, and considering IQ comes very well equipped in the weapons department, she's actually quite a viable operator that sometimes gets overlooked. But in this guide we should hopefully go over why you should be giving IQ the time of day. First things first, IQ comes very well versed in the primary weapons department. She starts off with the AUG-A2, which does 42 damage, has a fire rate of 720 and a capacity of 30 bullets in the magazine. Now the AUG-A2 is a very competent primary weapon, and I would recommend using it if not for IQ's other primary weapon. Moving on to that now, which is the 5.52 Commando, which does 48 damage, has a fire rate of 690 and a capacity of 30 bullets in the magazine. Now, this 5.52 Commando is an incredible primary weapon. I like to run it with an ACOG scope or a holographic sight, depending on how I'm feeling, with the flash hider, and then finally with the vertical grip. Now, I prefer the Commando over the A2 purely because it does a little bit more damage, and although the fire rate is less, I find that it's a little bit easier to control than the A2. The A2 tends to kick up quite a lot, and it's just a little less consistent for me. But if you've tried the Commando, you know that it's a great weapon. And if you haven't used the Commando, oh boy, do you have something to look forward to. It is a treat.
Terrible. You look positively ghastly.
Well, aren't you a treat?
Now, the other option that she has access to is the GAA1, which does 37 damage, has a fire rate of 850 and a capacity much higher than the other two at 50, considering that this is an LMG. Now, this gun is also very, very good, but in comparison to the A2 and the 5.52 Commando, it just doesn't stack up, so I don't really see a point in using this weapon. Now, IQ only has one pistol available to her, and that is the P12, which does 44 damage, has a semi-automatic fire rate and a capacity of 15 in the magazine, which is relatively generous for a handgun. Now, I would very highly recommend equipping a silencer on this, as when you have IQ's gadget active, your pistol is the only weapon that you're allowed to have out, and it is going to be the weapon that you are commonly shooting out enemy equipment with. So you want to stay off the radar and you want to stay undetected, so therefore the suppressor is needed. You should note that when the suppressor does get equipped, the damage will drop to 37 instead of 44 per shot, but that's not really anything to, you know, write home about, considering the fact that the pistol's really only going to be used to taking out gadgets, which will be killed in one shot anyway, so you shouldn't really have to worry about that. Then IQ, finally, another reason why she's a lot more viable now than she used to be is because she has access to breach and charge, and finally grenades. She used to only have access to, I believe it was stun grenades. Now she has unlocked the power to use grenades, which obviously are very, very useful in Rainbow Six Siege. And I would recommend picking the grenades if your team is running with a lot of breach charges. Sadly, if your team has no breach charges, someone's got to get into the objective room, so you may have to man up and take the breach charges yourself. But if not, take the grenades every time, because they come in clutch in so many different situations in Rainbow Six Siege. IQ's gadget is called the Red MK3 Spectre. What this essentially allows you to do is pull up a little screen and see enemy electronics through walls if you are in range. Now, this sounds useful in theory, but in practice it isn't actually that useful, considering the fact that you only have your pistol to take out these electronics. So when it comes down to it, some electronics are going to be in line of sight, but a lot of the time they're going to be in difficult lines of sight, and they're usually going to be inside the objective room with anchoring defenders in there. So if you've got your pistol out and you're peeking around corners just trying to take out the electronics, a lot of the times you're going to get your head taken off by an anchoring defender. So she's not that useful at actually destroying the gadgets, but more in the sense of finding the gadgets. I commonly find that IQ's a little bit better getting to the objective and helping your team get there safely, especially with the latest buff to Capcan. His now traps are very, very difficult to see, so I commonly like to use IQ to try and spot them traps before I get to the objective room. Also, she can be very good if you are using it before you get to the objective room. Some roamers will like to place down electronics in rooms that they are hiding in. So if you see an electronic upstairs somewhere not in the objective room, it might be, you know, something to think about, because usually when players do that, it's usually because they're in and around that area. So definitely it can help you sniff out some roaming operators. I also think that a gadget is very, very useful for Valkyrie cameras, because sometimes Valkyrie cameras can be very, very difficult to spot, and you might be getting spotted constantly and just thinking, where the fuck is this Valkyrie camera? And you have no idea where it is. Pull your IQ screen up and give a quick scan around, and you should be able to find it no problem. And taking that out for your team is a huge help, whereas, you know, some Thatcher grenades aren't going to be able to reach them in all spots. So that is a very, very good use for IQ. If you see there's a Valkyrie on their team, make sure you are trying to take them cameras out. Now, IQ is an incredible counter to Pulse. Whenever Pulse is on his gadget and looking through walls, you can do the exact same thing to him. You'll be able to see him through walls just like he's seeing you. But bear in mind, even though you know he's there, you will have the element of surprise on him, but you never know exactly which direction he's going to be facing, so don't necessarily run in there all guns blazing. And also, he's going to know that you are coming. If you can see him, he can see you, but it just kind of gives you that little bit of an edge, because a lot of the time Pulse thinks he's completely safe, but when IQ's there, he isn't. But don't think that you are safe to every single gadget when playing as IQ. I'm pretty sure that you cannot see frost mats, so just make sure that you are still watching your footing when you have that little screen out, because you will still get your legs snapped if you do stand in one of those things. Now, another semi-benefit to IQ is a very small one, but because she does come with three pretty decent, well, very decent primary weapons, the A2 in particular is still a very, very good and competitive primary weapon. If you are struggling with a commando at any point, you obviously can switch to your A2 and just give that another go. Not all operators do have that luxury. Like I said, it's a pretty small luxury to have, but a luxury nonetheless. Now, I know I talked about getting a line of sight on enemy equipment inside the objective room can be difficult. Now, it is good with IQ if you do want to take out enemy equipment and that is your focus for the round, trying to go below the objective room or above the objective room and basically shooting them piece of equipment through the floor, because that is possible. So you can go above the objective room or below it and take out them gadgets if you are struggling to get an angle on them, or if you're just very dedicated to taking that equipment out. Now, let's take a look at how I like to play IQ in a typical round. Now, IQ is very, very well equipped to Rainbow Six Siege, purely because, like I just said, she has 3 speed, and that is a huge advantage on Rainbow Six Siege. If you like to play with a lot of passion, a lot of impulse and a lot of focus, she is a great operator for you. Because she has access to that 3 speed, she can basically make the most of the peak's advantage. So playing aggressive in Rainbow Six Siege pays off very well. If you know someone's around that corner, it's much better to run around that corner as fast as you can rather than creeping around that corner, and the quicker the operator is, the better they are for that. Also, the less noise they make, so IQ is very, very good for flanking. So in a typical round, I like to be pretty aggressive. When I'm droning out, make sure I'm looking at where the enemies are. If there is any crucial enemy equipment in there that I want to destroy, make sure I know where that is. Then kind of bolt to the objective room, go above or below that objective to take out them gadgets if I'm pretty set on doing that. And then if not, try and get a flank on the enemy. Use my grenades to the best of their ability, and then basically make sure that after I have flanked, you are there for the team fight. But make sure when playing as IQ, you are making the most of that speed, because it is one of your best assets. But that's pretty much been it from me, guys. I hope this guide has helped some of you guys out. If you are enjoying my guides, please let me know in the comments down below. It does mean a lot to me to know what I can improve on in these videos, as I am new to this type of thing. But I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please feel free to subscribe, and without further ado, have a great day.
Protect